There it is. There it is. All right, guys. How you doing? My name is Tim Black. Welcome to the Tim Black Show. Yes. What's going on, people? How you feeling? All right. We got a great show lined up for you. Let me go check, make sure people on YouTube can hear and see the show. Let's do that first. Any love, YouTube? Any love, YouTube? Got a few people out there. Hey, Dingo and Schultze and Karen and Brad and Soul. What's up, Brian? How you doing? Mike. Thank you, Mike. Mike says it sounds great. What's up, what's up, what's up? T Black. T Black, what's going on? Hey, Leroy, how you doing? Alan, the pants, bark up a tree. And my moderator in the house, Dave, how you doing, brother? All right, Rufio, Lisa, Minx, Mama Alaska, Surah 76, Zachary. What's up, Zachary? All right, Sign of the Times is in the house. Thank you, Sign of the Times, for that. New moderator, Sign of the Times, by the way, guys. Thank you, new moderator. Now let's go to Facebook. Facebook. Hey, Laura, how you feeling? Jessica and Nicole and Mary and Rita. Mary, Rita. Hope you guys can hear me. Gail Lloyd, Kerry Williams, Jared, Leo, Christy, and George, and Davis. Oh, I'm getting some hearts and some thumbs up. That means that's a good sign, guys. We're looking good. Christine and Bill and Marcy and Sandy and Rose Wade and Anita. Thank you, George and Davis and Don and Sandy and Sarah and Gail and Laurie and George and Yvonne. All right, guys. If you could, right now would be a great time to share this on social. Please share this on your social media. Share it on Facebook. Share it on Twitter. Share it wherever you are. That'd be fantastic, guys. Let people know that we are in the house. We are definitely in the house. And I got a couple of stories I want to get to. It's not going to be a really heavy night. Thank you, everybody, as we approach the holidays, for tuning in to the show. I would like to kind of start here. Let's start at the beginning. In the beginning, there was a little squirrel. And that little squirrel ran up a tree. It went up the tree to shake the tree loose of some acorns. But there wasn't no acorns. There was some crack in the tree. He got the crack out the tree, went out on the corner, sold the crack, and bought himself all the acorns he could ever want. And he said, wow, man, I love capitalism. It was bad what he was doing to the squirrel community, though. It was unconscionable. Luckily, squirrels don't have conscience. That's not the way I wanted to start this. The way I want to start this is this way. You know, there's no obligation for anybody out there to support any candidate. Hell, you can be agnostic and not support a candidate or not even vote. All these are your rights as a citizen of this United States. More than 50% of Americans don't vote, and I get why. They're frustrated. As a young man who contacted me recently on Twitter, he offered me to debate a well-known black figure on YouTube whose name I won't mention, but whose identity no one knows, who's very critical of the Democratic Party, who refuses to vote and tells his many, many, many subscribers and followers not to do the same, or to do the same and not to vote. As I told him, man, hey, I got nothing for you, man. I can't convince you to vote. That's a fool's errand to try to convince a person, particularly a black person, that his vote is going to count, or to convince him that the Democratic Party has his best interests at heart. I really don't have anything to prove it. There's really no evidence to back it up. It would be empty words. The same would hold true of anybody who's poor. I mean, in this age of income inequality, if you were a poor person, you just said, hey, I'm getting screwed either way, no matter who's up there, I'd have a hard time proving you wrong too. So I won't even waste your time or waste my time or waste our time on that. But it would also, you would have a hard time proving that sitting out is somehow helpful. I don't think it is, Johnson. Well, similar to me not being able to prove to a disaffected voter that somehow voting is going to change the world for them, where they live, with what they deal with, even though I haven't really seen it done in real life. By that same token, I can't tell you who to vote for. I can't tell you that me endorsing a candidate means you should endorse him. No, that's not what I do. I just give you my opinion based on the information that I gather, try to inform you, educate you, share information with you, and entertain you at the same time. Not always an easy thing to do, us being human and all. But I'll tell you this. I'm having a little bit of problem understanding why people who obviously support other candidates tend to pretend that they support different candidates. For what reason, I don't know. This whole fiasco about Cenk has exposed what so many of us know. There are people that will blame Bernie Sanders for everything, from the cost of tea to a bad weather day, a bad hair day, to a weak finale on the Game of Thrones. I mean, everything is Bernie's fault. From the fact that Hillary came out of the woods to the fact that he owned up to his contract with the DNC and endorsed her and went around the country as he was already decided to do, contractually bound to do, to the fact that the DNC still had superdelegates lined up on the second ballot to stop it. I mean, they blame this guy for everything. They hold him to standards that no other person gets held to. Least of all their chosen candidate who can do no wrong, who walks on air, whose farts must smell like Benetton commercials. The reality is this is just a guy, a man, a person, a human being, just as fallible as any other human being. No magical abilities. It's not as if his name is Cal or John from Watchmen and he can zap you and throw people into different orbits. No, he's just a Jewish guy from New York, a senator from Vermont, who stood on the floors of the Senate and filibustered and set records fighting for what he believes in. But he ain't Superman. He can't leap DNCs in a single bound. He can't jump up and smack the hell out of the past and bring you the future, back to the future. Nor can he make fish fly, birds swim, or the DNC do him fairly, or rescue other candidates, be they Tulsi Gabbard or whoever they are, from the pearls of the DNC. No, he can't take on the DNC and topple it with one pluck of his fingernail. Nor can he erect a third party all by himself and usher the millions and millions of us through the gates of democracy all on his own. No, he can't. But what he is doing is pretty admirable. But not to these people. See, here's the thing. These people are so frustrated and bitter, and I'm giving them that. I'm being charitable when I say that. And who are we fooling? We know who I'm talking about. Look, this does me no pleasure to have to say this. I get around. I know people. I've spent time with people offline. But ethically, I feel like I must say something because no one else is. Well, at least not anyone who's a friend of both parties. Jimmy Dore is a friend of mine. He interviewed me when no one would in 2016 and put me on the map. And actually, after being in this business for over 6-7 years, he was the only one who put me on the TYT channel who didn't do so to benefit himself. Then we did comedy shows together where he put me on the billing. Most recently, we did a show. It was a fantastic show, a great time. Him, Lee Camp, and I ripped it, along with Steph, and it was a great time. And I appreciate the opportunity. So this is no diss to him personally as a human being. He put money in the brother's pocket for a day. He interviewed me. He's been on my show. I've been on his show, and I got to admit I got a boost when he came on because for some reason I don't get shared like that. But that's besides the point. I got to say it. Jimmy Dore, is obvious that you prefer Tulsi Gabbard. Maybe it's time we stop criticizing Bernie for not being Tulsi and you just be with Tulsi. I mean, come on, how long can you continue to backslap the guy, spit on him, and call him weak? You got your champion in Tulsi Gabbard. I respect that. Like I stated before, I can tell no one who to endorse. But it's obvious, crystal clear. Man, Stevie Wonder can see who you like. Helen Keller could come back to life and point at her and know Tulsi Gabbard is your girl. Why don't you and all those that are like you just get behind a candidate that you love? Instead of taking swipes at a candidate that without that candidate, your candidate would be nowhere. No one would know him. No one would love him, not even you. So at the end of the day, guys, this Cenk Uygur thing has exposed people for who they really are. I mean, come on, man. Cenk Uygur himself says he was the one who told Bernie to retract his endorsement because Cenk said he didn't want to hurt Bernie's campaign, nor did he want to hurt Roe or Senator Nina Turner. But that's not enough. Still, somehow, you must snatch fairness from the jaws of fairability in order to throw Bernie under the bus somehow, some way. If only Bernie would have done this. If only Bernie would stand up like this person or that person. As if these people that you're referring to don't have political motives of their own. As if there are somehow damsels in distress who don't have strategies. I mean, forgive me for mentioning, your candidate is a literal killer. Well poised to take care of oneself and strategic beyond many of the people on that debate stage. Look, here's the thing. I'm not going to sit by and let you just shit all over my guy just because you are pissed off that your person ain't performing the way you want him to. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to tell you, chill, Hoss. Slow your roll, dog. It ain't worth it. Be for something instead of against something, or do something. Hey, do what you want to do. I don't know if this is your thing, but those who support Bernie Sanders do so for policy reasons. Not because he's a saint, not because he can walk on water, not because he's going to deliver us like Moses to the promised land. But the way some of you talk, it would be as if you believe that of your candidate and that my candidate is the devil. And neither one is true. There are no saints, there are no devils, but there is one path forward. And I think before it's all said and done, you'll be with me. But then again, maybe I'm just some jag-off commentary person. All right. Now, latest news on the Cenk Uygur situation. It's crazy. What happened here today? The New York Times issued a correction. Now, I'm not so sure if a correction is the same thing as a retraction, but I guess a correction will have to do. Check it out. Now, for those of you who don't know, here goes the original article published by the New York Times. I forget the person who wrote it, but it'll be down here below. Bernie Sanders retracts endorsement of Cenk Uygur after criticism. So that was the article. Now, of course, in the article, there were some things that were just blatantly wrong, but some of those things were just opinions and basically in a vacuum. Like, the guy said this, the guy said that, so therefore, this is the guy. Okay? Like, they wanted to sum him up in just one way based on statements that were made over a period of time, 15, 20 years. This is what happens in media. We all know about it. I'm not here to defend his ability to say something stupid or to offend others. I never said that Cenk Uygur was right to degrade women in any way. I don't believe that's right. And as I'm reminded, yes, I do have a wife and I do have a daughter and I do have a granddaughter. But if a person apologizes for actions that they did in the past, since they can't jump in the time machine and correct them, All you can do is accept it or not accept it. So a lot of people choose not to accept Cenk Uger's apology. The New York Times article pointed it out as if that is all Cenk has ever done in his life, is make these horrible comments, forming TYT. That never happened. They refer to him as a radio host instead of the largest progressive independent news network in the world. They refer to him as a radio host instead of referring to him as the founder of the Justice Democrats, who brought us great candidates like Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. First candidate being the Congressman Ro Khanna, very successful, very hopefully will do more progressive things as this goes on. So, this whole thing with Cenk, look, I'm not here to defend that. All I'm saying is the guy is more than one thing. And being as I'm someone who was very critical, it would be very hard to find somebody more critical of Cenk Uygur in 2015 and 2016. Believe me, my criticism was biblical. I'm not a Johnny-come-lately person when it comes to criticizing Cenk. I didn't just start doing it because of Russia. Oh, no, I was already there when he flipped and went Hillary. He wasn't obligated to do that. I called him out for it. When he sandbagged Jill Stein, I called him out for it. I've been calling Cenk out almost to the point people thought I had some weird fetish, which I don't, Johnson. I just felt the most progressive, largest entity needed to be more diverse, and it also needed to stick to its guns more. Well, anyway, be it as it may, I'm trying to put everything aside personally in order to give you guys the best of what I believe or the most information I can and be real. I had to say, well, you know what? If Cenk Uyger's going to go out there and kick some butt in California, I support that. Who am I to hold grudges from 2015 to 2016? Hell, 99% of the Democratic Party got behind this Russia crap. And when I say that, I don't mean voters, I mean figureheads. Hell, even Bernie has said things about Russia that I hated, that I called out. But I forgive him. Hey, look, we all have our opinions, and mine is just an opinion, as yours is just an opinion. We're all people. But here's what the New York Times did. They took Cenk out of context. And it was all to smear him. Let me show you. Maybe see if I can show you this in real time. Okay, so in the article that I was referring to, the New York Times did it's actually on Bernie. This is another issue I want to point out. The article titled "Bernie Sanders Retracts Endorsement of Cenk." They made Bernie the focal point of this for some reason. Well, we know what the reason was, Johnson. It's because they'll get more viewership on it. They'll get more eyeballs and more clicks to their website. Bernie didn't do anything. He's not alleged to do anything in here except maybe, diss Cenk. I don't know. Anyway, an early version of this article referred imprecisely to a remark by Cenk Uygur, a radio host who's running for a California congressional seat. When David Duke, the white supremacist, appeared on his show and denied being a racist, Mr. Uygur was replying sarcastically when he said, "No, of course not." Now, guys, let me keep this as real as humanly possible. The lady's name is Jennifer Medina. Okay? I will not insult your intelligence. Please do not insult mine. Jennifer Medina knew damn well that Cenk Uygur was being sarcastic when, after an hour of jostling or wrestling and body slamming David Duke virtually around during their interview, verbally assaulting him to the best of his ability with facts and reality. At the very end, when David Duke said, I'm nothing like a racist. I'm not a racist, Cenk said something to the effect, well, of course not. Of course you're not. There is no way that Jennifer Medina thought he meant that literally. or was confirming David Duke's BS. You know it and I know it. And that's the thing, guys. You know he didn't mean it that way. So why would you ride with it just because you pissed off with Cenk? All right, I know why. That's a stupid question. Some of you are pissed off with Cenk. I just answered my question. But listen, guys. Hey. You can feel that way. You're liable, you're licensed. Everybody can feel it whatever way they feel, fine, you know? But I can't feel that way because I know it's not true. I know that he didn't mean it that way. Now, when I called Cenk out in 2016 for jumping like a hot potato from Bernie Sanders to Hillary Clinton, I meant that and I felt that and it was the right thing to do. That's what I believed. So I did that. When I called Cenk out for Russia nonsense, I felt that. I did that because it was the right thing to do. Well, here, calling them out for this is wrong. It's a smear, folks. And to get behind it, or to condone it, or to ignore someone's apology when they give it to you, or to say, oh, because Cenk said the word nigger when he was reading or reenacting someone else's words, to pretend that that means he's a racist on that alone, well, that would be wrong. And that's not consistent with who I am. So, the New York Times is wrong. And they may have corrected their statement, but they didn't issue a full retraction. They put a masthead at the bottom of their earlier article. That ain't exactly the same thing. It won't get as much notice or shine as the original article, and we all know that's intentional. That's how the game is played. If they really wanted to undo the wrong, they'd make an article as big as the article that they wrote originally that was incorrect. So anyway, that's where we are. I'm not telling anybody what to do. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. That's it. Do as you will. But know this. The leading challenger for that seat in Congressional District 25 in California is by a candidate who is a corporate tool. Now, I may have disagreed with Cenk on a number of things, but I never thought he was a corporate tool working for corporate Democrats. Her average donation is $2,000 per donation. Cenk's is probably around $20. He ain't brought and sold. And if he ever becomes brought and sold, I'll be the first one to smack him. Virtually, that is. Until that time, you get the benefit of the doubt, Hoss. Have at it. By popular demand, Johnson is here. I have new Johnson designs in my shop. If you want to pick them up, check them out. They are hilarious. They are revolutionary. And they're all Johnson. You're going to love them, man. Check them out. Both parties suck, Johnson. It's one of my favorites. Independent media only, Johnson. Keep it real. We are all Johnson. We are. We're one big community, guys. Go check it out. Independent media only. Johnson's in the house. Both parties suck, Johnson. We are here. They got a special going on right now. Free shipping. Get it today. Wolfpack. All right. All right, guys. I want to try to do something a little bit different right now. I want to jump into the comments section and read a couple of the Super Chat comments. I want to do that in between some of the segments because I think people need to they need to get recognized sort of while the show's going on, and that way to the end. So let me start with Sirius. Back in black, Johnson. Thank you, my friend. Patrick Malloy. Socialism will win, Johnson. I hope so, brother. Wendy Smith. Tulsi 2020, but I'm never mad at you for repping progressives. My roll is slowed. Well, thank you, Wendy. I appreciate you. It's all love, babe. At the end of the day, we all want the same things, I hope. Jesus Zamora, Tim, thanks for your hard work. Love your show. Thank you. And Cheryl Tyler, my friend, thank you for the donation, sis. I appreciate you. All right. Now let me get back to the next episode or segment. Hey, guys, I just want you to know this show is brought to you by you. Nobody else brings you this show. You're the guys that keep the lights on to keep the show going, so thank you for being a member of the Tim Black Wolfpack. To become a member, please go to patreon.com, Tim's Take Live, or you can join right here on YouTube or Facebook. Yeah, do that today. And Super Chat is always welcome if you support the channel. I appreciate it. All right, so now I don't know what's going to happen with these Democratic debates because there's been a lot of controversy surrounding so many issues. Okay, so we got two layers of issues. We know first of all, you know the Democratic debates are scheduled for Thursday, okay? But we don't know if they're going to actually happen, okay? They might not happen. And I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, no Tulsi Gabbard. I don't know if I'd miss Corey that much. Hey, I don't know. Come on, Tim Black. You know, hey, I'm Cory Booker. Of course you'd miss me. I've been here. I was the mayor of Newark, and I want to get on the debate stage. We just need more love. Tim Black, I can't believe that you don't get it, Tim Black. I don't understand. Well, Corey, I don't know what you really bring to the table, sir. So anyway, that's an issue for me. But here goes a clip of what's happening with the debates, and we'll talk about it.
Are calling on the Democratic National Committee to relax its debate standards next year. This comes as the candidates are also considering skipping Thursday's debate altogether because of a labor dispute at the Los Angeles University where the debate is set to take place. Joining me now, Jason Johnson, politics editor at TheRoot.com. Brett Stevens, Chris Liu still with us. Jason, are the candidates right here? Are the DNC rules the problem?
Yeah. And Tom Perez should have known this all along. The idea of this sort of rising tide where it's like, well, this week you've got to have this many supporters and this week you've got to have this many poll numbers. It's not the kind of thing that necessarily helps the Democrats. A large field with a lot of competition helps. If they had been smart, they should have had just the JV and the varsity version of the debates like the Republicans did a couple of years ago. And now you've got this sort of internal argument happening where people doubt the validity of the debates themselves. And that's a mistake that falls squarely on the shoulders of Tom Perez.
Chris, weigh in. The DNC is arguing they've been clear and transparent about the debate qualifications from the beginning.
Yeah, well, I'll have to defend my good friend Tom Perez. When he was the Secretary of Labor, I was his deputy. What he was trying to do in crafting these rules is to address the issues that were raised in the 2016 nominating process. And what he's tried to do this is in a transparent way where everyone up front knew what the objective criteria was. And so, look, I completely understand the concerns. I am troubled by the lack of diversity as well. But everyone knew the rules up front. They've certainly had some unintended consequences along the way. But I would also point out, Stephanie, we also should have a broader question as to why our nominating process starts in two states that really are not that demographically representative of the rest of the country.
But then is it more about our electorate or is it about the rules, Brett?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a fair point that at the end of the day, these are the candidates that have risen to the top. I mean, one of the reasons why Joe Biden continues to be where he is wide support among African American voters who did have options with Senator Harris and with Senator Booker. That being said, I really agree with Jason. There's absolutely, and it's not just a matter of racial or gender diversity. It's also ideological diversity. There are a lot of good candidates. I mean, I think Michael Bennet is a terrific candidate. He really got nowhere because of these sorts of rules. So let's absolutely have a varsity and a JV team, and sometimes some people from the farm teams actually make it up to varsity.
All right, so one of the reasons why I guess Tom Perez, I guess this is they're sort of backing into this reason, right? Perez says that if they were to relax the rules, eliminating the donor threshold would mean that Michael Bloomberg would qualify. Yeah, come on, like you planned for that or something. You had no idea that would happen. You know how I feel about Tom Perez. It's real hard for me to get behind anything he does. They say, I'm looking at an article here. They say that Tom Perez has the most thankless job in America right now, being the leader of the DNC. And I'm not going to say he doesn't, but hey, you took the job. I mean, you signed up for the job. My wife reminds me of the same thing. Tim, you signed up for it. This is what you wanted, right? Yeah, sort of. All right. Now, when they asked Tom Perez what he think about changing the rules, he said he doesn't want to change the rules. He says trying to make it past the initial 65,000 donor threshold onto the stage for the June and July debates was not contested when they created the rules. So basically, people were fine with the rules until they realized how hard it would be to qualify or how hard it would be to meet the rules. And yeah, I guess I can see that. But the bottom line is the Republican Party found a way to make it happen. Why can't the DNC make it happen? Why not have a JV day and a varsity day? I got to agree with Dr. JJ there, man. How much would it hurt? It wouldn't hurt. It may be sort of like, I don't know, one of those shows where you get kicked off, one of like Chopped. You get to go back or something and work with the JV squad, and then you beat the JV squad, you can come back to the big kids table. I mean, we're talking about an opportunity for people to actually get their voices heard on the national stage, and that's huge. I just don't know if I accept totally the premise that this is all about diversity. What about diversity of thought? Right? When I don't know his name, but when he said, what about ideology, right? So I think there's a diversity in color if that's all you look at. But diversity of thought, I don't see that much difference between Kamala Harris and Buttigieg. I mean, not policy-wise. They may be different anatomy, obviously, right? Different skin tones, but neither one of them are very progressive. I mean, like, there's a lot more corporate folks, corporate Democrats in this race and more conservative Democrats in this race still than there are progressive or left-leaning. So I don't think that it, just by keeping Corey in, that changes everything. I don't think it does. I mean, the main reason why Cory Booker's not polling better is because there are other people with policies similar to him that are a little bit more attractive to the voters. And that's not just Iowa. That's nationally. If you look at the national polls, he ain't killing it. And I've already done long-form videos about the reason why Kamala Harris dropped out of the race. It had a lot less to do with how she was polling in Iowa and more to do with how she was polling in California. Can somebody say bad, like real bad? Bad meaning bad, not bad meaning good. But there's one part here that makes me want to kind of feel a little bit more supportive of Cory Booker and the crew. Is Perez's comments here in the New York Times. Perez said he felt no guilt about the fact that the stage would not feature Booker, the leading remaining black candidate, or Julian Castro, the former housing secretary whose twin brother was among those who wanted Perez to take the job in the first place. I don't even know what that means. Who cares? Anyway, here's what Perez says. He says, I'm not doing the polling. No, but you set the rules up, man. You set the damn rules. All right. I'm a huge fan of Cory Booker. I think the world of him. I worked with him dating back to when he was a mayor. And if voters were disappointed that he hasn't qualified, then when they answered the phone, they need to express their preference for Cory Booker. Ow. Okay. I'm not the only one to put out a harsh statement about Cory Booker today. Perez went hard. And I don't believe the guy named Tom Perez, who was only the DNC chair because they sandbagged Keith Ellison. So he's the only reason why he's there, to stop progressive change within his party. They called Tom Perez into the DNC just to stop the progressive or the Bernie Sanders wing of the party. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows it. Everyone feels it. Everyone knows it. It's the truth. So, like, don't expect me to get behind Perez on anything. So maybe the thresholds are too high. Maybe you got, as far as the polling, when you got candidates like Bloomberg, who's already spent over $100 million, who can just flood the market and get disaffected voters who don't come out, who just cut on the TV and see a nice shiny ad and go, he ain't so bad. You know, a lot of people still haven't made their minds up. So it's still really early. But at the end of the day, I think it'd be better to have more people on the stage. Separate nights, maybe. I mean, it's not like we're getting a whole lot done anyway. I mean, they're up there. How long do people get to really respond to questions? Then it's lopsided. I think you should get as much time as you poll. I wonder why Amy Klobuchar gets so much time to speak. Anyway, all right. Well, that was only one slice of the pie. There's a whole other side of this equation. There's a strike going on, and that strike affects this whole thing. So here goes a little bit more about that strike.
Calling on the Democratic National Committee to relax its debate standard.
We turn to the Democratic candidates out stumping this weekend, taking part in a forum as questions are raised this morning about whether their next debate could be canceled. Our Rachel Scott picks up that part of the story from Pittsburgh.
This morning, turmoil and uncertainty looming over the next Democratic debate.
I don't believe we should cross that picket line.
The debate's location now a rallying point for frustrated union members fighting for better wages and health care benefits. And every candidate who qualified is threatening to boycott.
I think it's a terrible look for the Democratic Party to have a debate and that runs afoul of union work rules.
California labor union Unite Here 11 sending this letter to the Democratic candidates outlining their plans to picket on the campus of Loyola Marymount University. The union, which represents 150 cashiers, cooks, and dishwashers, is entangled in a labor dispute with Sodexo, a company contracted to handle food services for the university. Just 4 days out, the DNC is now trying to find a way to move forward as planned, releasing a statement saying, while LMU is not party to the negotiations, we are working with all stakeholders to find an acceptable resolution that meets their needs and is consistent with our values.
Having these debates is critical for Americans to see the differences between candidates.
Only 7 of the 15 Democratic candidates have qualified for Thursday's matchup. And now there are growing calls to lower the thresholds for the next round of debates in early 2020. Senator Cory Booker's campaign leading the effort after he failed to make the stage, sending this letter to the DNC with the request, signed by 9 candidates, including the early frontrunners.
Narrowing it too soon means we're not going to hear from everyone, and I'm sorry to see that.
All right. Well, I agree with Tom Steyer. It's not a good look for the Democratic Party to cross a picket line. One of the problems that the Democratic Party has is working people don't feel that the Democratic Party supports working people anymore. When I mean working people, I actually mean all of us. I mean all of us who work for a living, got regular jobs, punch a time clock, punch in, punch out. You know, so yeah, there's a strike going on, and I don't know. They say they want to resolve it. The DNC says they're going to try to resolve it by, before Thursday. I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, it's already Tuesday, right? And as I stated before, I'm not so certain that we need a debate right now. I mean, it is Christmas. Look, guys, the last debate, maybe we're making too much of debates, Like, the last debate was the least watched debate. I mean, I know I just said it was important to be on the stage, but I'm just saying, like, maybe it needs more drama. Maybe it needs more build-up. We got the impeachment thing going on. That's sort of sucking all the air out the room. The last debate was the least watched debate, and now we got a debate before Christmas, and there's a strike going on. Well, maybe it's a sign. I'm just saying, maybe it's a sign. Would have nothing to do with me wanting to see Tulsi Gabbard go up there and destroy Pete Buttigieg. Buttigieg. Nothing at all. That's not it. That's not it at all. Well, anyway, look, guys, if we do have a debate on Thursday, you know I'll be covering it right after the debates. As usual, I will go live and I will give you the Tim Black recount, the Tim Black play-by-play and all that good stuff. You know how we do here on this channel. And if they don't, we won't. You know what time it is, Johnson. Speaking of time, if you look at the polls, you're going to see, like, crazy stuff. You know, it depends on what poll you look at, but generally speaking, there's like three people at the top of this thing, and that's Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren. And Elizabeth Warren has been slipping lately. So I don't know what to tell you. And so has Joe Biden. I think the Buttigieg crew has been eating into the Joe Biden world. And Michael Bloomberg, I mean, like I stated, you know, ideology-wise, I think Joe Biden and Bloomberg got a lot more in common than, you know, Bloomberg and Bernie. I mean, if you need to choose, if you try to choose between, like, you know, Bloomberg and somebody, you ain't on the other side looking at Bernie going, well, they're almost the same. I guess I'll go with God, I don't know. Their policies are so aligned. I mean, come on, it's like they're a world apart. Same thing with Yang. It's like no one's looking at Michael Bloomberg or Tom Steyer or Deval Patrick and going, God, I don't know if I want to go with the Yang gang or if I want to go with this governor who I never heard of before, who's basically Hillary with a tan and the ability to use the bathroom standing up. I don't think I want that guy. So, like, this is what's happening to the field. It's actually, they're hurting themselves. I know all this talk, people love to say that Bernie and Elizabeth are canceling each other out. No, the neoliberals are canceling each other out, Johnson. Yeah, they're fighting for the same three voters. Voters who don't believe that we deserve anything. Voters who vote Democrat but are actually Republicans. Voters who, you know, think that, entitlements are entitlements when they're actually what you earn as being a citizen in the richest country in the world. We print our own money, damn it. So anyway, that guy that everyone loves to talk about being the most electable, well, he was asked a question at a forum, an education forum that was recently held. All of the candidates attended. Have you heard Joe Biden lately? If you were thinking that he's gotten better, you're wrong, Johnson. Real wrong.
Is that a large number of our children who are Black and Latino will find themselves in segregated schools. In 2016, 42% of Latino students and 40% of Black students attended schools where just 10% of their peers were white. Do you consider this a failure of American education that our schools are segregated? And if you consider it a failure, how would you fix it?
Two ways to fix it. Number one.
So you consider it a failure?
No. Look, I do think that the fact that we have institutional racism that exists based on neighborhoods, based on jobs, based on the ability to not be able to live in areas that, for financial reasons, not just racial reasons. In other words, it used to be, the reason I supported busing the first time around is the de facto segregation. You cannot live in this neighborhood because you're an African American. That's de facto segregation. But there's de jure segregation. That's de jure segregation, not de facto segregation. De facto segregation exists because of the way of our housing our housing policies, our educational policy. We should break down school districts and not make sure that their ability to not, by definition, exclude minority neighborhoods. But the way to deal with this is to provide for the best education possible in every single school. That's the way to deal with it, and then deal with, I started off as a United States Senator fighting redlining. You know what redlining is?
I do.
Okay? Well, that's what I started. The first bills I, in fact, got involved with. And I'm extremely proud of my record on civil rights. That's why I have more people in the African American community supporting me than anybody else. That's why the president picked me. I make no apologies for my record on civil rights. As good or better than anybody in politics.
Hey there.
What the hell did he just say? Nothing. He said nothing, Johnson. She asked him, she said, we have segregated schools. Is that good or is that bad? And if it's bad, what would you do to fix it? Joe went around the barn, took a trip to the moon, came back, bought tickets to the next Cats play off Broadway, took Jill shopping. What the hell is wrong with Joe? I mean, come on, guys. At some point, even my friends in South Carolina, who I'm not totally convinced are locked in on Joe, damn it, you got to admit, Joe just doesn't know how to answer a question. What time is it, Joe? And if so, is it early or late? And this dude will start telling you Pluto is not actually a planet. And have you ever heard of molasses? Molasses tastes good on buttered biscuits. You would really like molasses. And another thing, if you ever had molasses and you washed it down with some milk, that would be a pretty good thing. And I would stand behind my ability to bake a cake anytime I'd like to bake a cake. And don't you go tickling my navel again, because I don't like my navel being tickled. Now, if there is a God, then there's probably a spaghetti monster too, and that would mean that horses can fly, and I've ridden a horse before, and that's the whole point of the whole thing, and that's why I've always fought for children that have the ability to drive cars with their feet, because I think driving cars with your feet is an important thing, and it's an American thing, and we should do more of it. Joe doesn't answer a question at all. And this whole electability thing, I'm really trying to figure out what they mean by electability, unless they mean the opposite of electability, like unelectability, inelectability, or there's nothing electable there. And if you think, come on, I know anybody watching this show knows better, but if you happen to be new to this show, and you happen to be considering Joe Biden because you think you like the way he eats ice cream, or he wore those cool sunglasses, or he hung out with Obama for a while and he seemed all right, rethink it. I mean, a vote for Biden is a vote for Trump. Let's just keep it 100. I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad person. I'm saying he's a bad candidate. That's all that should matter. Yeah. I mean, I want to contrast how he sounded and how Bernie sounded. How about that?
Is that a large number of our children who are Black and Latino will find
Senator, you proposed canceling college debt.
I sure did.
So you and I have a lot of conversations about the way things go where I come from in Canada and how some of these things work better. Here's my one question about canceling student debt. Even if it's from public universities, there are people graduating from professions who do very well or in high demand, engineers, coders, and other professions. Philosophically, I know you want to cancel that student debt. Economically, given how much it costs, is there a way to look at this where you don't cancel the student debt of people whose debt doesn't need to be canceled?
Well, I look at it a little bit differently. Number one, trust me that those people who make a lot of money, who are very wealthy, probably not going to be voting for me because we're going to be raising their taxes very substantially. But what I have to say is I do believe in the concept of universality. You know, in Canada, whether you're rich or you're poor, you can take advantage of the healthcare system. In this country, Donald Trump's grandchildren could go to a public school if they wanted, even though he's a billionaire, or he says he's a billionaire. We don't know if that's true. All right. So I look at it the other way. I think what is simpler and more straightforward is, A, making all public colleges and universities tuition free for all people, and B, canceling all student debt, and in this case, paying for that through a modest tax on Wall Street speculation.
Senator, you help me if I'm wrong, but I think you did not support.
All right, there we go. Now, there's a difference in that answer sequence, right? Just putting aside what was actually, if you agree with Bernie or if you disagree with him, he did something that Joe Biden could not do or would not do, refused to do, may not even have the ability to do. He answered the question, Johnson. He not only answered the question about why he feels that everyone should get the ability to go tuition-free local college, tuition-free. He also explained the concept behind it, the universality, that everyone benefits, so everyone supports it because everyone benefits, and the richest people just pay a little bit more for it. They help fund it, but they also can benefit from it. Instead of they pay for it and they get nothing from it, except resentment for people who get it and they don't get it. See, that's the whole point. But whether you agree with that or not, he gave you a reason. He gave you a reason. Then he also talked about Wall Street helping to pay for it on speculation prices, fees on Wall Street. So unlike Biden, man. See, here's the thing, guys. People love to make it seem like Bernie supporters just love Bernie because because his glasses or because he wears those snazzy suits. No, it's because when you ask him a question, he actually answers the question. He actually says something. And even if you disagree with it, he tries to win you over with his vision. And Biden doesn't do that. And Amy Klobuchar doesn't do that. And Pete Buttigieg doesn't do that. And I could keep going on and on and on and on of the candidates who don't actually try to win you over. They just talk till you get tired of listening. That's right. We call it ear fatigue. Ear fatigue. That's when they talk until you get tired of listening and you just give up on understanding. And they're not even trying to convince you. They're just trying to run out the clock so that other people watching don't vote against them. Like, I don't know what's left for this Joe Biden character. I mean, last week I reported that his campaign was floating the idea of him only serving one term. I understand why they do that, because obviously Joe's not Joe. I mean, he was horrible in 2008, but at least he would stay on a concept or on a thought. He's not even doing that. And I'm not here to smear him as a human being. I'm just saying, either he is the most evasive candidate I've ever heard, or there's a real issue. And they won't say it, well, I'll have to say it. No Joe. All right. Well, this is a quick night, man. Things are going pretty good. In my closing story, I got this for you. And guys, I want you to know, first of all, let me let you know that the clip I'm about to show you is not gory anyway, but it is dissettling or unsettling, right? It's not a nice clip. It's not a happy clip. And they're also going to tell you that on the clip as well, okay? Because it's not something that I think kids should see, okay? So if you happen to be watching this with a child, maybe they don't want to see it. It's not lewd or anything, but it's just something that's disturbing, okay? All right. So don't report me because I showed this to you. It's no blood, no guts, nothing like that, but it is disturbing, so I want to let you know. All right. This happened earlier today. I saw this clip while I was on Twitter. It was retweeted by a number of people, and I got to talk about it.
Officer in North Carolina was fired after a disturbing video showed him body slamming an 11-year-old student who weighs just 70 pounds. Mark Strassman tells us that officer could lose more than his job.
Brace yourself for an outrageous moment. A sheriff's deputy escorting a middle school boy lifts and body slams him. A student who weighed 70 pounds. Body slams him twice. A school resource officer who's supposed to protect students. The family of the unidentified 11-year-old says the boy was knocked out.
When we first saw the video, we were stunned. We were shocked.
Sheriff Curtis Brame says the unidentified deputy has been fired.
I don't expect my deputy, any deputy, or law enforcement in North Carolina to carry out their duties in that way.
There are no official statistics about excessive force involving school police and students. One national 2-year study showed at least 141 complaints of school police officers with abusive use of force. North Carolina requires its school resource officers get additional training. It's unclear whether the deputy involved in this body slam got his.
No student should ever experience this in any way, especially not in our schools.
John Miles is the middle school boy's grandfather.
It's very painful because you send the kids to school to learn.
Miles says his grandson won't return to the school. It's not clear how severely the boy was hurt, Nora, but that could play a part in any potential criminal charges against the deputy.
All right, Mark, thank you.
Mr. Miles, the grandfather in that video, he took that a lot better than I did. I'm glad that he held it together. He was very, calm and handled himself very, very well. There is no excuse for something like that, and I'm sure everybody watching feels the same way. My thing is this, guys. Here's the thing. How stressed out do you have to be to do that? I mean, that's a level of abuse to a child that is like for a police officer to do that, and I know there are police officers who do bad things, but I'm saying it just seems to me like there's got to be a high level of stress. Something's wrong with this officer mentally where you would do something like that to a child. I mean, there is absolutely no threat. Of course, the child may be annoying, but there is nothing that a child could say to you that should make you want to body slam them once. Not once, but twice. I mean, actually rendered the child unconscious over what appears to be words. Originally, they hadn't fired this guy. They had suspended him with pay. There were people that were calling the station, and then finally they fired him or something. So, I mean, that's great and all. Hopefully, they'll bring him up on assault charges. There should be more done to him than just losing a job. Because you know what happens is go get a job somewhere else. But, I mean, you watch something like that and you just wonder what kind of law enforcement we got going on. And what's happening to these children when they're in the custody of the school. And what if there was no tape? Would anybody even believe them? I'm sure the officer. And it's what happens all the time. They make up stuff. They would just make it up. And, there's no way that officer would cop to body slamming that student if there wasn't a tape. So, I don't know. As a father, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what you say about a law enforcement agency or about your children being in other people's custody and what they could do. I mean, that child could have suffered brain damage behind that. That child could be paralyzed behind that body slam. At 11 years old, what can an 11-year-old do to you that you need to put hands on an 11-year-old? Now, if the 11-year-old has a gun, maybe, yeah, okay, I guess. No, I don't guess. If you got a gun, you're a threat no matter who you are. But come on, man. That big bully body slammed that child twice. Anyway. This is what's going on in these schools. And people say, well, what's wrong with these kids? And won't these kids act this way? Won't they act that way? Look at the way they're treated. There is no way, if you're treated violently like that you're going to behave in any other way. I mean, you're socializing kids to be violent. Anyway, Jesus. All right. I'm glad he got fired. More needs to happen. I'm sure you agree with me. Wolfpack. All right, guys, thank you so much for attending the show tonight. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Real Tim Black. I'm also on Instagram as Tim Black at Night. Now we'll go and see if there was any other comments made, and hold tight. Hey, Mayors, I need to hear Tim's perfect Warren impression on trying to call out Buttigieg. Well, you know what? I'm not going to do it tonight. But I will definitely be doing it, Johnson, because there's going to be more to go. And I want to cover, there's some things that Elizabeth Warren's been doing lately, too. She's trying to fight back. So she's dropping in the polls. And I'm not saying it's like, a precipitous drop, but it's slowly, right? It's slowly starting to happen. So she's going to have to get out in front of that, right? And so one of the things she's doing is she's calling out Buttigieg. And she just did. She's the reason, Elizabeth Warren is the reason that Pete opened up his fundraisers. Yeah. She got him back for when he was asking her about how she was going to pay for Medicare for all. Yeah, she got him back. Made him open up those fundraisers. Oh, Tim. It's not about irritation. Tim, it's about thinking you're untouchable. Law enforcement officers see cops every day get away with a lot worse. If you can kill Tamir Rice and get away with it, slamming one is child's play. Damn. You may be right, man. Kush, you may be right. I'll say this, though. I like to believe that someone could snap and do something stupid like that or something horrific like that. Maybe that's just me with wishful thinking that he was just stressed out and he did that. He looked so angry, that's how it looked to me. Like, what is he doing? But you're right. Maybe he does that all the time. Maybe that's how he gets down. Maybe he's a psychopath, or maybe he's a sociopath. I don't know. Like I said, maybe I hope that it's, losing the car, losing the house, wife got cancer, or wife got heart disease, or kids ran away, kids on opiates. I don't know. A lot of people have a lot of problems, and maybe I'm a little bit more, it's on my mind a little bit more now due to some changes, some things that have been going on in my family. And it just makes me more aware that things happen to people every day, and stress is high. So, But I appreciate you, though. What's up, Mad Wolf? Much respect, bruh. Much respect to you as well. Thanks, A-Mans. I appreciate you. All right, guys, don't forget, go to TimBlackTV.com. I got gear. You can still get I got Christmas sweaters, y'all. Hey, I got Christmas sweaters. Hold on now. I got the first ever Christmas sweaters. Christmas sweaters. Let me see if I got them. Where do I got the damn Christmas sweaters? I don't know where I got those Christmas sweaters. Shit. I don't know where I got. Where do I got Christmas sweaters at?
North Carolina was
So you know what? I'll show you tomorrow. If you go to TimBlackTV.com, you'll see the Christmas sweaters. That's all I can tell you. But yeah, for the first time, I decided to make those Christmas sweaters, something a little bit different. And also, I did something different with the background. I stopped it. I stopped the background, guys. People I like the background spinning. So I just wanted to try that and see what people thought of it. Let me know what you think. All right, guys, that's it. I'm keeping you for no reason now. I'm done. I got love for you. Remember, don't let nobody take your cornbread, and don't be arguing with people about their politics. Just sprinkle some facts on them and get up out of there. A man changed against his will is of the same opinion still. You ain't changing nobody's opinion. You just give them something to think about. All right, Johnson. Peace. you.